Hey everyone, welcome back to the Internet of Things podcast. This is your host, Stacey Higginbotham, and today's guest is Gabe Halimi, who is the co-founder and CEO of Flow Technologies. Hi Gabe, thanks for coming.
Hey Stacey, thanks for having me.
All right, so several months ago, you guys, I wrote about a bunch of startups that are disrupting the leak detection space, and Flow is one of those startups. So Gabe, really fast, tell us what Flow does.
Yeah, Flow is a water monitoring and shutoff technology for the home. One device installs on the main water supply line and proactively monitors the integrity of the whole plumbing system to prevent catastrophic water damage from happening at all. We learn the habits of the home and we detect things that lead to leaks like high pressure, thermal expansion, freezing pipes. And by monitoring for those things, we can alert the homeowner. And if something catastrophic happens, we can automatically shut off the water, thereby preventing claims.
So you do catastrophic, like, oh my gosh, my pipe has burst. It's crazy. Do you also do things like slow leaks?
Absolutely. So our technology can detect something as small as a drop of water a minute. I would say most leak detection falls into a couple of different categories. You either have technologies that do not install on the main water supply line or ones that do. So like you just covered my friends at Roost and Notion, I would put those in the category of like the point sensor category. They're not on the main line. And then you have other technologies that install on the main line. Those generally can catch leaks, anywhere in the home like ours can. I think our technology is very unique in that we also have pressure sensing capability, which allows us to catch things like micro leaks. So by doing pressure tests, we can identify leaks that are tiny behind the wall underneath the slab of the home that generally cannot be found by just monitoring the flow.
And then I would toss in another category here, which is those that turn the water off and those that send you a notice. And you guys actually will turn the water off.
Absolutely. You're right. Those are the two different ways that we kind of break up the competitive landscape. Now there's, a lot of questions around price and installation. Our technology does require the professional installation, where a lot of other technologies do not. But I think what you get for that in the end of the day is a technology that can really help prevent water damage from happening in the first place, which I think is really unique.
Okay. And I'll just toss out some of those competitors so you don't have to say their names. So there's companies like Finn out there. They're spin out of Belkin. There are companies like Buoy and Flume and some others. So lots of options out there in leak detection. It's a super hot place to be right now. Why is that?
First of all, when you look at homeowners insurance claims that happen every year, water damage as a result of plumbing failures is the leading preventable cause of homeowners insurance claims every year. It's more than 5 times likely that you'll have a water damage claim versus theft or fire. And that's usually where people's minds go when they think of homeowners insurance and what they're trying to protect against. It's about $9 billion every year worth of losses for the insurance industry. And it's 5 times more likely that you'll have water damage in your home than a fire claim or a theft claim. So by frequency, it is the leading cause of claims. It's about 25% of all homeowners insurance claims. And so even though homeowners' minds frequently go to, fire or theft because there's really a lot of human peril involved there, the insurance industry definitely has a focus on the water damage claims for that reason. And it is preventable. I mean, you can't really prevent a hurricane coming through a neighborhood, but things like fire, things like theft, things like plumbing failures, these are things that can be prevented with the right technologies. We've been working on this for about 10 years. My father is my co-founder and inventor, and he has been a mechanical engineer for years for the plumbing industry. He was a manufacturer, but really notable here was that he was actually an expert witness for the plumbing industry, but defending subrogation claims from insurance. So when a plumbing failure would happen in a home, maybe a water connector pops off of the main water supply line, an insurance company would maybe pay out that claim and then turn around and file a subrogation claim against the plumbing manufacturer who they think may be responsible, maybe alleging product liability or negligence. And my father had defended over 1,000 of those claims. He was seeing these astronomical claims happening. And here he is, the forefront of plumbing innovation. He's had previous inventions that have sold over 18 million units. And he's seeing these crazy claims happening as a result of plumbing failures. And he decided that there needed to be a better way.
So this gets us into one of my favorite topics, which is insurance. Because, gosh, it feels like these guys should have a vested interest in putting this kind of product in the market and getting it into consumers' hands. What are you actually finding with them?
Well, one, it's really slow. I think that although most insurance companies we talk to, every insurance company we talk to understands the value proposition. They understand what it is we're doing. They're very intrigued. We are also similar to our friends at, Roost and Notion. We're working with a number of different insurance companies on pilots. But because the technology is expensive and because it needs to be, professionally installed, though we believe the, ROI is there and it'll pay for itself, they're slow to adopt. And we found ourselves in what seemed like an endless cycle of the pilot testing. And so what we decided was we were going to collect our own data and we were going to get ourselves comfortable with our ability to actually help prevent claims and drive down the frequency and severity and come out with our own guarantee to homeowners that if they adopt our technology and if they act reasonably by, taking care of their alerts when they happen and maintaining their home with the tips we give them, that we will guarantee that they will not have catastrophic water damage in their homes. And so we just took an approach that we're kind of insurance company agnostic, if you will, until the insurance company comes around and does catch up. And I believe that they will eventually. But in the meantime, our value proposition kind of stands for itself.
Got it. And I believe that Ring, the doorbell company, the now owned by Amazon, offered a deductible reimbursement process for their stuff too.
They did. And Jamie Semenoff from Ring was actually one of my first investors in my company, and he was one of my early advisors. So that was definitely a play out of their playbook. I saw Jamie doing that a long time ago and kind of scratched my head. And I was like, that's something that we may be able to do once we collect more data and feel really comfortable. Now, Jamie did that with an insurance partner. He did that with American Family Insurance, I believe.
That's right. Yes.
And so we got so confident and, we were kind of working with different partners and we just decided, hey, this is something that we can potentially do ourselves. Looked at the data that we had been collecting from the many homes that we've installed our technology in and just made the decision internally that this was something that we were just going to go about doing ourselves.
So from an actuarial basis, because insurers love that, you have to have a certain number of it's like man years, but they're just years of data on leak prevention, for example. How do you guys create models? What are your confidence intervals? What does this look like when you're setting aside money in escrow to pay this out?
Well, truthfully, with the homes that we've been installed with so far, we haven't seen any catastrophic water damage. Anyone that follows our technology the way that it should, we kind of did the math to see how many homes we would have had to pay out claims for so far if every single person had signed up for our Home Protect program. And we didn't have any claims. So to some extent, as a startup, you can just look at the data you have. I wouldn't say that any of the data that we've collected would get any of the big insurance companies up comfortable. We've been operating as a company for 3 years and have had a product on the market for less than one. So I don't think there's any way that we would get an insurance company comfortable. But that's kind of the way that we went about it. That's why we went about it the way that we did.
Excellent. Well, let's talk about this from an actuarial perspective, only because they care so much about longevity. And this is the sort of product where I plan to install this. How often should I replace this or how often should I have to think about this?
The part of our technology that can really suffer from wear and tear is the mechanical ball valve. Our technology does turn on and turn off the water every single day. That's how we test every day whether or not there's a leak in the home. We know definitively whether or not there are leaks every single day. So by turning on and turning off the water and actuating that ball valve, that mechanical part could wear and tear. So we've tested that for well over 5 years. We've actually tested it over 8. So we believe that once you install this, you really don't need to think about it for at least 5 years. That's what we think the useful life is, but it could be much longer than that. But like any device, Nest has introduced a number of different, thermostats. Ring has introduced new doorbells. The technology just gets better and better with time. So I don't believe that this is the kind of product that you're just going to want to, set it and forget it for the next 50 years. I believe that at some point people will probably want to upgrade anyways.
Okay. So for a while, Nest on the thermostat front was doing upgrades like every 12 to 18 months, which felt like super fast. Granted, it was a brand new product, so I get it. But what do you think the logical product update cycle is for something that is in a smart home?
It's closer to about like 24 to 36 months. I think that in our space specifically, this is so new and there's so much that we can do around water that, I can tell you, you're going to see different versions of our product released within the next 24 to 36 months for sure. And I think that, we're all kind of waiting, as you've touched on in your previous articles, for some great connected home platform to kind of bring all these products together. I think with all the data that we're collecting, we're only going to make the home smarter. From our standpoint specifically, I can tell you, like, we're collecting data every second of the day from a water flow standpoint, pressure standpoint, temperature. This is all new data that no one is really, using yet to make the home more thoughtful. And so as different protocols may come to the forefront and whatnot, I think for a number of reasons, maybe 24 to 36 months.
Okay. And let's go back to insurance because I didn't dig quite as much as I wanted to there. But let's talk briefly. So you guys have started this. I agree that the insurance market is waiting on data that I don't know if they'll ever get. But what do you think they're going to do in the smart home? Because there's this idea that they're going to remake the way they offer policies and premiums. But then there's also a much more kind of mundane idea that they'll just do it as a competitive differentiator, like in marketing their insurance products, which is maybe less exciting.
Yeah, and I think the latter is what they've been doing to date. All the big partnerships that we've seen between IoT products and insurance companies have really been about marketing. It's really been about differentiating their product. At the InsurTech conference in October of last year, I had the opportunity to, share some thoughts on stage. And one of the things I said to insurance companies is I want to partner with insurance companies that actually want to drive down claim frequency and severity. That's what we're doing. If people want to introduce flow as a marketing product, they can do that. But really, we really want to make an impact on insurance. We really want to make an impact on how often homeowners are being inconvenienced by water damage. So far, there's a lot of talk. And I think that you are seeing some startup insurance companies that are seeing the opportunity and are moving, very quickly to adopt IoT and really bake that into, the way that they are offering insurance and the way that they're protecting homes. So if they don't to get it together, that's where I think the disruption is really going to happen. I will say, Stacey, there was one guy, I can't name his name because we were under NDA and I can't even name the insurance company, but there was one executive from one of the top 5 insurance companies that said to me, at some point, the insurance industry just needs to look at each other and say, hey, this is a great thing. We can test this. Because our product has probably been tested by most insurance companies in their employee homes. And I know that their eyes light up when they can see, in real time, they can see what's happening with their home's water. It'll shut off the water for them automatically. So at some point, the executives, on the business side need to go back to the actuaries and just say, hey, we don't need 50,000 years worth of data. This is just a great thing. And it's logical that this is going to help drive down claims. And we have to do something. And so what he believes was going to happen is that at some point, you're just going to get a bunch of people together in a company that just say, this is too good to pass up. We need to do something aggressive here. And I kind of share that thought with him. I don't know if that actuarial, 50,000 years of data is going to happen before you just get a few people that are thinking logically, that are just willing to put their neck on the line and say, this is something we have to adopt. I think that's more likely to happen first.
And if they don't, it feels like they risk being cut out. Now, there's a lot of opportunities, according to McKinsey and Bain and all these consulting studies that I get on the insurance firms, that a company like Google or Amazon could come in and create an insurance product that incorporates connected devices that would be just a much better deal for consumers because they would have, again, products like yours as part of that portfolio and claims kind of process and policy pricing process. Do you think that's feasible?
Absolutely. I think that not only are we going to see those kind of companies adopt the right technologies in a more aggressive way, they're going to know what to do with all the data. I think right now, even, I have a Nest in my house. I have a Ring doorbell. I have my Flow device. And none of them are really talking to each other, at least in a very smart way that's helping to protect my home and giving me multiples on that investment. With my device, with the Flow device installed in a home, like I said before, we're collecting data every second of the day. And so we know when people are home and not home just based on their water usage. So at some point, you're going to see when the Flow device shows that there's been no water usage or no flushes of a toilet, for example, for 24 hours, but the alarm hasn't been set, you should get a ping that, hey, you should probably set your alarm. It doesn't look like you're home because you haven't had any water running here. Once you are able to connect all of these different devices, you're going to get a home that's much more resilient, much smarter. And I think that the way that it's looking, it's much more likely that an Amazon or a Google is going to come in and do that rather than an insurance company.
Do you think customers and consumers are going to be excited about sharing all that data with some of those providers?
I think it's all about what the quid pro quo is. I think that data can be used as a currency. So today, we don't volunteer homeowners' data to share with an insurance company. However, if a homeowner would like to get some kind of an incentive from their carrier, and their carrier will offer that incentive in exchange for some sharing of data, then that's a decision that the homeowner should be able to make on their own. If they don't want to share the data, then they don't have to accept whatever the insurance company is offering. So I think that it's a decision that homeowners have to make. I think it's an option for them. Ultimately, I do think they will share their data. As long as it's used in a responsible way, it will make their premiums lower, not just because of the incentive that they're getting from the insurance carrier for the adoption, but ultimately, when you bring all of these different data points together, it's just going to make the home smarter and better able to protect you, which will ultimately mean lower premiums. So I really do believe that it's in everybody's best interest.
You mentioned earlier some of the cool things that we can do with water information. So I'm curious, what the heck is ahead of us if we start looking at this type of data?
So one, you can just learn a lot about homeowners. You can learn a lot about how they interact with their home. One of the things that I've been discussing with insurance carriers, and the light bulb goes off, they get it, is when you receive an alert from Flow that, for example, you have high water pressure in your home. High water pressure essentially is like high blood pressure in your body. If you have high blood pressure for long periods of time, that's putting undue strain on your veins, your arteries, eventually organs, God forbid, can fail on you. When you have high water pressure in your pipes, that means that you're putting undue strain on your pipes, your fixtures, your appliances, and eventually something will burst. This is part of the preventative side of our technology. So when you have this data and you have these alerts from Flow that are telling you, hey, you got high water pressure. This is a maintenance opportunity. You got to do something about it. And now let's say that the homeowner ignores those alerts. They throw caution to the wind and, they don't do anything about it. Well, now I think that says something about potentially that homeowner. Is that the same kind of homeowner that leaves their doors unlocked or doesn't set their alarm or smells gas and doesn't do anything about it? I think there's a lot that insurance companies can learn about customer behavior. And I don't mean to suggest that, homeowners should be scared of data. I think what this is doing is it's offering more opportunities for homeowners to see what's happening behind the black box that is their plumbing, behind all these different systems in the home. I think the key to a smart home is having a home that's more thoughtful, that suggests to you when there are different problems lurking, when you need to act, and not just, being able to open and close your door by pushing a button. I think it's really about having a home that's smarter, that better protects you. So that's one of the things that I'm suggesting about water data. I think it's a great indicator of not only occupancy, but it's a great lens into all of the different activities in the home and being able to better protect you from a number of different dimensions.
Awesome. It kind of sounds scary because sometimes I am that bad homeowner who walks out and forgets to lock their door. So I'm curious to see this brave new world ahead of us. Thank you so much for coming on the show this week, Gabe.
Thanks for having me, Stacey. Appreciate it.
That's it for this week. Thanks so much for listening. And remember, if you'd like more IoT news, sign up for my newsletter at staceyoniot.com. We'll see you next week.